What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right, I'm going to talk about the welterweights in this video, and specifically, I'm going to talk about uh, a rumor that I heard from that Shawn Porter might fight Andre Berto. I just heard it, fleeting. I heard that, just in passing, so I don't know whether it's true or whether it's not true. I also heard that Manny Pacquiao and Adrian Bronner are looking to fight one another. And I also listened to a debate that took place on Ticket TV. Shout out to Ticket TV channel about Shawn Porter and Errol Spence. It was an interesting debate, and all of these thoughts, made me just think of something, man, about, there's some good things in boxing, man. We're very fortunate that we have fights that we want to see. So I'm not going to say that I think that boxing's dying or it's in a terrible place, because there are a lot of excellent fighters. And there's a lot of fighters that keep my interest in who I want to fight, who I want to see fight. And obviously, you wind up criticizing one or the other from time to time, or some a lot. Like Keith Thurman, for example. Keith Thurman hasn't fought in 19 months, but somehow he's the WBA champion. That guy needs to be stripped. There's no reason for a fighter to be given 19 months in between title defenses, if that title means anything. And that's kind of where I want to go with this conversation, man, because when you look at a fight like the fights that you want to see, like what makes a champion, right? And I've had this conversation with Blood Boxing, and he and I are in agreement on this, that if you're not the top guy in your weight division, as far as your ability to, win a fight. I'm not talking about your ability to, sell a lot of tickets, or your ability to sell a lot of pay-per-views, or sell more pay-per-views than the other guy, right? Because if that was the truth, hey man, as soon as Canelo Alvarez moves up to 168 pounds, he's now the 168 pound champion. He's the man in the 168 pound division, when I don't think anything could be further from the truth. But as far as the belts, and, I was helping my son with some homework, and we were going through it was Texas history and geography, I think was the name of the title. But in this Texas history class, they were going through they were going through government. And there was a concept in government called popular sovereignty. And popular sovereignty in the United States is the concept that all of the government officials get their power, or the government agencies, right? In the United States, it's the federal government, the states, and the local, right? And each one of those have three different branches, which are the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. And those powers are broken up. But the concept is that the people are the basis for the power that you have in government, right? And that's just a basic fundamental principle of government in the United States. So when I'm listening to this debate going on, and I guess I'm not going to talk about the subject matter of the debate. I listened to but Mauricio Suleiman came up, and I'm listening to all the conversations going on about boxing and what fights should happen, what fights won't happen, why they'll happen, why they won't happen. And I just think to myself, man, that there is in boxing no real concept of popular sovereignty. That being that the fight fans are the ones who are the source of the money. that the fight fans are the ones that are the ones that will make you successful or not. It's the appreciation that the fans have for fighters that make the fighters successful or do not make them successful. And in that regard, being the fan is the ultimate power position in boxing, because you have the right to watch or not watch. It's like a binary thing. I agree or I don't agree. I'm going to buy the zone or I'm not going to buy the zone. I'm going to watch your fight or I'm not going to watch your fight. What would make me want to watch that fight? If it's a fight that I want to see, if it's a fight that I'm calling for. And you used to, in boxing, when it was less complicated. There weren't 4 or 5 sanctioning bodies and 4 or 5 different sanctioning bodies, 19 different weight classes, right? And some of the sanctioning bodies, in the same weight class have more than one person that's called a champion. If you look at BoxRec and you look at the champions before, you look like the record of a Muhammad Ali, or look at the record of Muhammad Ali or Jack Dempsey or Jack Johnson. They were just the heavyweight champion. That's it. They were the champion. There wasn't 4 other ones going with them. So when I'm hearing these conversations, like especially within the LDBC, and we start talking about how we need to talk to fighters, develop relationships with fighters, have to understand, the politics and the business behind boxing. And I think to myself, no, I don't have to do that. I shouldn't have to do that. I should have to see whether or not the business of boxing is giving me what I'm asking for. And if it's not giving me what I'm asking for, then they're in the wrong. My expectations and my desire as a boxing fan to see certain matches take place shouldn't be shouldn't be dictated by whether or not Mauricio Suleiman agrees with the principle that unification trumps mandatory. I mean, I read the WBC rule book, and let me tell you, the way that WBC rule book is written, Mauricio Suleiman can do whatever he wants to do. That's a private company. And all those guys are doing when you're fighting for the WBC belt is the right to walk in the ring with that belt. That's all it means. In exchange for them fighting and paying a fee, you get to walk in you get to walk in there with that green belt. That is literally what the consideration is that the boxer receives for winning a WBC championship. He gets to wear a belt. And they can take that belt away and give that belt to somebody else if and when they choose. And there are no rules that say that unification trumps mandatory. That is that is what you call a rule of thumb, something that they can choose to follow or not follow. But and I don't have it in front of me, it also says in there that Mauricio Suleiman, or whatever his title is, has the right to interpret the rules as he sees fit and based on what he believes to be in the best interest of boxing. Right. So if it's not in the best interest of boxing for the number one WBC number one contender to fight the champion, then he won't do it because it's not in the best interest of boxing. And who gets to determine who the best interest of boxing is, or what the best interest of boxing is? Mauricio Suleiman and whatever the board of directors are that work for him. And who pays those guys' bill? The promoters pay their bills. So if anybody's going to hold the WBC accountable, it is not it's not the boxing fans. It is the promoters who want their fighters to be ranked, or don't want their fighters to be forced to fight somebody. All of that stuff. But as me, and the reason why I am saying this is because on this channel, I am a boxing fan. The word, media gets thrown around a lot. And I see people that, who aspire to be that. And I'm okay with anybody becoming what they want to become. If you want to interview fighters, if you want to get, behind the scenes, if you want to get, that's a new word I'm hearing a lot, behind the scenes. If you want to get behind the scenes information, if you're trying to beat BoxRec, beat boxing scene, in collecting the information so that you can share it to other people, that's fine. You're becoming a medium between the fighter or the promoter and the boxing fan. Media, you're becoming a go-between, and that's fine. I'm not interested in being a go-between. What I want is to see the fights, and I want to actually talk about the fights. And if the fights aren't being made, then I'm going to try to be an advocate for getting the fight made. And that means doing it in a way that does not rely upon a boxer, doesn't rely upon a promoter, doesn't rely upon a sanctioning body. I don't have to interpret what the boxer says or what the manager says or what the promoter says or what the sanctioning body says. I'm going to interpret what I hear from fight fans, myself being a fight fan, other people being blood boxing, being a fight fan. And at the end of the day, all I want to see in the welterweight division is one champion. And if all those other people are not saying something or doing something that leads us to that final conclusion, which is who is the champion in that division, not who is a title holder and not a title holder, but who is a champion in that division, then I don't have any time or interest for it. But I will apply the pressure by calling it out and saying what I think. Anyway, that's my thought on the matter. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we do more videos. And with that, I'm out. Peace.